Welcome to the lake and a little longer dock talk. I wanted to do sort of a kind of regular show in widescreen so you could see what I experience every single day, which is a total luxury. I can't tell you how much this place turns me into a small child. And I've been coming to the island, well, my whole life. Every single summer, we got on a ferry and we went somewhere. And as soon as that ferry leaves the dock, it's like you're in another world. And Vancouver Island is one of the most spectacular places on earth. You don't need to go anywhere else for summer vacation, in my humble opinion. So it's great to have you here at the family cottage dock talk today with coffee because it's early where I am. And we're going to talk about Marco Bizot. It's going to be a busy week because there's the Walsall game and probably Enzo Berenachea is on his way out. So that's next time. But it's not easy finding a backup goalkeeper at Aston Villa, so I'm actually quite impressed with who we got, how quickly, and for how little. Excuse me. Oh, great, I'm spilling all over myself. Nice one. So the numbers are the numbers. I mean, you could see them for yourself. I think what impresses me is 34 is still a goalkeeper's absolute prime. 6'4" is helpful. Stats wise, decent. Nothing spectacular. But what I do notice is that he does seem to be comfortable on the ball because his passing percentage is okay. His accurate long ball passing is quite good. I think above average for goalkeepers. And he doesn't mind being a sweeper, which is part of Unai Emery's way. In the highlights I've seen, this is a battling type goalkeeper. And when you think about it, I mean, you got a goalkeeper here who had a really good season with Stade Brest. 2 years ago, they qualified for Champions League by finishing third, and he was integral to that. Then last year, 18th in the group phase of the Champions League, or the league phase, if you will. That's decent, and he was a part of that. And when I see the highlights, I really do see a guy who does not give up on the ball, who battles, makes himself big. And I think he'll be a very handy goalkeeper. But when you think about coming to Aston Villa right now, what an interesting time to be here, because who exactly is Marco Bizot backing up? I'm still not convinced that Emmy Martinez, despite showing up for preseason, will be with us come opening day. And of course, opening day, he's suspended. He's suspended for the first 3 games of the season. So that puts even more pressure on making sure we have at least somebody that can step into goal. And you just wonder where a Joe Gauchi is at this stage of his career, probably going back on loan. But you will not be surprised to hear my theory on Emmy Martinez, and you probably won't be surprised to hear that everything I've heard is that Unai Emery is obviously demanding, and his vision for the club is to continuously get better and better. And if you aren't part of that, I don't think he wants you around. And if you get on the wrong side of Unai Emery, it's going to be very difficult for you to come back. And there are many good examples. I think Exhibit A, Diego Carlos. I get the sense that Emery didn't fancy him previously, even though he wasn't at Sevilla at the same time. But I get the sense he didn't fancy him as the type of defender he wanted in the first place. But it really, a year ago, turned almost toxic with the red card against Leipzig. There was rumor that Carlos joked or undermined Emery at a training session. And for me, anytime you get rid of a guy without having his backup plan in place, which is what happened in January, because they didn't have Axel Disasi ready. In fact, there was severe doubt they were going to get Disasi. Anytime you get rid of a guy for basically nothing without a backup, that's a pretty good sign that you're not happy with him. Then there's Douglas Luiz. And I see all these people saying, oh, we got to bring Dougie back, got to bring Dougie back, Dougie's got to come back. There's no chance Douglas Luiz is coming back while Unai Emery is still here. If Unai Emery moves on, then maybe Douglas Luiz may make a return one day. And I'll talk about that deal a little bit more the next time because Enzo Berenachea was part of that deal, and that's now turning into an even more significant deal than we first thought. But something was off with Douglas Luiz, and I've been wondering, what it was. Was it attitude, character? Something did not agree with Unai Emery, and so he was out the door, much to the surprise of many people. And then you have John Duran, and John Duran is a different story, because I really appreciate the fact that our group had the emotional intelligence to say, you know what, this kid is so raw and so young, we can forgive some of the behavioral part because there is so much potential. And what happened? It turned out to be exactly that way. They started fresh, they turned a page. Duran contributed not just beautiful goals, but critical goals in the first half of the season, and then they turned him into an almost $70 million sale, and look at him now, he's off to Turkey. So I trust the footballing department deeply when they make these kinds of decisions on players, even if the fans love those players and can't understand why are we moving them on. Now, for Emi Martinez, I don't know if you recall the Brentford game. Now, this is partially intuition, partially a little bit of insight. I don't know exactly what happened, but the Brentford away game, you will recall that Emi Martinez was named as the starting goalkeeper in that game. And the Tuesday prior, we were winning at Club Brugge in the round of 16 in the Champions League. And despite being named to the starting 11 at Brentford, Emi Martinez pulled the chute. And Robin Olsen started that game and thankfully had quite a good game, got the clean sheet. We won the game, so no damage done. The following Wednesday, we were at home to Club Brugge, and there was Emi Martinez starting. Significantly, however, was what happened after that, which was, if you'll recall, the international break. And that's where Argentina had two absolutely monumental games that really probably could have clinched their place in the World Cup next year, here in Canada, among America and Mexico as well. And that was against Uruguay away, and then the big game against Brazil at home, which Argentina won 4-1. That was the game where Martinez did the keepy-uppies when Argentina was leading 4-1, which, drew some ire. But that wasn't the first time that Martinez pulled the chute after being named to a starting 11. It happened a year earlier. I was there at Manchester City. Same thing. He was named to the starting 11. They had a game against Brentford the following Saturday. I was there, and Martinez was fine and playing in that game. And Robin Olsen started and actually was really good in that game at the Etihad. But there was also earlier this season at Crystal Palace, where we were losing at halftime, and Emi Martinez pulled the chute at halftime. Robin Olsen came in. We lost that game 4-1. And I'm speculating a little bit here, but when you think about a guy who's earning $150K a week and who you depend on heavily, you need to get the very most out of that player, and you can't afford to not know whether he's going to start or not. I could see how that could irk a manager. So was that the moment that the club kind of said, you know what, we can do better with lesser salary, younger player, even high potential? Because you'll remember what happened afterwards. Not the best in the FA Cup semi-final, not the best over two legs against Paris Saint-Germain, and of course, an absolutely bizarre final day decision to go and take out a guy, reducing your team to 10 men, which then, of course, has us without, at the moment, a starting goalkeeper for the first three games, critical first three games of the coming season. Me personally, I always would rather have harmony in a group. I would rather have consistency and continuity. You kind of know the characters. They know you're backed up by a big, strong goalkeeper who has this huge personality and a great pedigree and a great resume. But unfortunately, that 150 per week hurts Emi Martinez, and you can see the market is now starting to get rolling. By the way, on a side note, I think teams are paying absolutely astronomical prices, or at least rumored to be paying astronomical prices for some of these early season signings, which I know they want to get out of the way and they want to get secured so they could plan, so they can integrate those players into preseason. But still, the price on some of these transfers is just sky high. So I'm not worried that we are taking our time and being a little bit more deliberate and maybe looking for better opportunities in the market, even though, you know, the media says we are linked to a lot of these targets that are now signing elsewhere. So I think this is as solid a signing as you could ask for in Marco Bizot. I mean, it's a challenging one. Like, he doesn't know who he's backing up really or who he's going to be partnering with in the squad. And yet he's leaving to come to Aston Villa. You know, he's going to play some Europa League games possibly. He has to be able to play probably more than Robin Olsen did. So that's a very difficult choice to have to make. I mean, he's been counted upon at Brest and did very well there. And now he's leaving for another adventure. And I find that, very interesting. And I do wonder what was promised to him. What did the football department promise to him for coming to Aston Villa Football Club? That would be an interesting thing to know. That's my Doc Talk for today. Tomorrow, little look back maybe on the Walsall game, which has now become not very important from a footballing standpoint, but it is a milestone. It is an emotional milestone for us, the fans, knowing that the season is within sight. Until then, cheers.